together to welcome Mr. Tan.
Hi everyone, my name is Kenneth and I'm part of the team at BeLife Technology. We were founded almost 10 years ago actually. This year is our 10th year anniversary. And we've been through many challenges, but I'm not here to talk to you about the challenges we've been through. I'm here to talk to you about some lessons I've learned and hopefully I can impart as well. So, first, before we talk about excellence, right, I'm sure that many more in the audience who can speak more about this topic, but we need to understand why we pursue excellence, right? And this has been a recurring theme all the way back when we were hunter-gatherers as tribes people. You know, as human beings, we long for the stars, we chase love, we pursue status, right? That's natural, right? And when we were tribes people, the way we showed our status was to hunt large animals and wear their teeth, wear their bones around our neck and show that, hey, I'm strong, right? I killed this saber-toothed tiger, so you must respect me. When we discovered wheat, it kind of domesticated us. So we didn't domesticate wheat, by the way, it domesticated us, right? We started to build farmhouses. We started to trade our crops and wheat for adornments like fine garments or jewelry. We started becoming merchants, right? And today, trade has not changed. The way we trade has changed significantly, but fundamentally we trade in the form of currency to feel important, to obtain status, right? So if you're interested more in this topic, check out my favorite book, Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I took this from this book, right? So it's not a plug, I'm not a co-author or anything, but it's really a really good book, okay, on natural history. Right, so being human means we often think of feeling important, right? We often feel that we need to portray a certain status in life. And for me, I grew up in a very low-income family. So from a single-parent family, my dad left when I was very young. So I was in the care of multiple nannies when I grew up, right? So I always felt the need to blend in and to please the family that took care of me. If I didn't please them, I'm sure they wouldn't like me, right? Because I'm not their son, right? So I always felt the need to be important, and I always chased status. I always pursued status and wealth, hoping that it will bring me out of mediocrity, right? So that's something that I grew up with. And you know, the best way to do this is to become a boss, right? Become someone important, live the life, smoke a cigar, sit a private jet. So one day I read this article about a very famous entrepreneur in Silicon Valley raising $10 million US, which is a life-changing amount of money for me, right? So I decided, hey, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, right? I'm going to be a technopreneur. I'm going to start a tech company, and I'm sure I'll be able to smoke a cigar someday, right? Couldn't be more wrong. I faced over 1,000 rejections from investors, partners alike over the course of the 10 years. I've been told that I will never raise a single dollar in my life. I've been told that I will fail immediately because I'm not an elite. I'll tell you more about that story later. I remember looking at all these unpaid bills that I had on my desk and thinking about how we're going to pay our next payroll. We had about 40 employees then, right? And I vividly remember that my wife sat me down and said, hey, you need to talk to someone because I've been keeping it all to myself. I'm never one for conversations about difficulties. I try to solve things by myself. So this really impacted me quite a bit. Yeah, and this kind of reminded me that, you know, rejection is a theme that I've been facing most of my life. Right. First of all, I wasn't a great student. I didn't do well for my O-levels. So this is a reminder for everybody here, those who are taking O-levels. Right. I didn't manage to get into a junior college even. I went to a polytechnic, and when I was entering a polytechnic, my mother told me that, okay, since you can't study well, make sure you become a good technician. Right? So everybody around me who met me in polytechnic said that you will never be a senior manager. Maybe very rarely you will, but you can be the greatest technician on earth, right? If you work your hardest to achieve that. So I think that if I had listened to that advice, I wouldn't be standing here today. Because even though being a good technician is important, I think having some faith in yourself is also important. And some of the lessons I like to impart to audience today, led me to be in charge of this wonderful bunch of people in BeLife, right? So today, BeLife is in how many countries? 20 countries, not physically present, but we have served companies globally and locally, all the way close to home from Singapore to Nigeria in Africa, the largest e-commerce platforms in Nigeria, Jumia and Konga, they use our solutions. And we've been really, really fortunate to be partners to companies like Grab, Rakuten, and even MediaCorp as well, right? So one of the first lessons I've learned as a young entrepreneur is to really discern between fact and opinion, right? So as a very young entrepreneur, I clung on to every single word that someone older than me told me, right? Or even especially investors, because when as an entrepreneur who's looking to raise funds, investors are the ones who can make or break your company. If they give you money, sure, you can announce that you raised a big round, achieve your dream, post on social media and say that, hey, I raised 1 million, 2 million, 3 million funding, right? So every word they said, I clung on to it. If they said that this strategy, this thesis will not work, sure, let me change it, right? But I want everybody to try to dig deeper, right? Fundamentally think from first principles, right? Is your thesis fundamentally sound? If the jigsaw puzzles that you have plotted fall into place, will this achieve your vision? So that's most important, right? Really reason for first principles. Taking opinion, not to say that, just ignore all advice. Advice is great, right? But you actually need to discern between great advice and ones that are relevant to you, right? One story that I'd like to share. So I met, about 7 years ago, I met one of the largest private equity firms in the world, BlackRock Capital. So I met this fund manager who was an elite, right? She was a Harvard grad, Singaporean, who, 26 years old, was fund manager of BlackRock. So the reason why this picture existed because she got a bit tipsy at Boat Quay, right? Having drinks at Boat Quay, and she started listening less and less to what I had to say. And then I stopped and asked her, is it okay if I continue? And she just told me that, Kenneth, you're never going to raise a single dollar of funding in your entire life, right? You know that, right? So of course I disagree, right? I mean, being a little bit, having a little bit belief in my company. I said, I disagree, but tell me why. So she told me that, first of all, you are a polytechnic graduate, you are not an elite, you don't have any experience in entrepreneurship, and why don't you go and seduce some old woman and convince her to give you funds? I know a lot of rich old women, like 70 years old. Just seduce them, right? They'll give you money. So that's what she told me, right? So is that a fact or is that an opinion? It's an opinion, right? If it's a fact, then I won't be standing here. So I fundamentally disagree with that, but I'm telling you that it is important to discern between advice. Obviously, she's an elite. She's really skilled in her own field, but does her advice apply to my company at the stage of the company stage of life? No. Apply to me as a person? No as well, right? So the second lesson that I would like to share is this really fantastic quote by Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. She says that everybody wants to feel important. Basically, that's it, right? Everybody has an invisible sign hanging in front of the neck saying, make me feel important. And this is actually how I got the first investor to invest in BeLive as well. So I remember very vividly that I was in a conference in Korea, and there was this guy sitting here beside me, and his name is Kenneth as well. So we were wearing the same watch. I have never spoken to him, but he's also a Singaporean. And I remember making a decision, thinking about going with my friends to party because it was after the convention, right? So I was with a couple of friends. They were about to get drunk at a nightclub or whatever it is, right? So I was thinking, should I go with them or should I talk to Kenneth, right? So I decided to go and talk to Kenneth. And I said, hey, Kenneth, we have the same name, we wear the same watch. It was a Casio or something at the time. So what brings you to Korea? So we started chatting, and it turns out that his brother-in-law was the founder of TEDxACS, the chain of restaurants, and they became our first investor in BeLive. So I wouldn't have, got to my first investor if I didn't make the decision to make him feel important, because it was looking kind of lonely at the time, right? So just a simple, I remember the fork in life. If I had chosen to go to the party, I wouldn't be standing here as well. So it's pretty interesting. Last lesson, failure. I think failure is important. Failure is something that we need to learn to accept, especially in the Singaporean education system. At least for me, my experience was being a failure in academic success, right? Meant I wouldn't be anything in life, right? I think, remember I said that I had very bad grades. I went to Polytechnic. That actually turned out to be the biggest and best decision of my life. Right? I ended up at NYP, and it was there that I met my wife 20 years ago. So she was a really popular kid in school, and after 6 rejections, she said yes, finally. Right? And today, we got married, of course. Because she won't be my wife, right? Yes. And every one of my classmates attended, even my lecturers attended as well. And we have 2 really cute baby boys. This is the first. And my second was just born about a few months ago. And yeah, I mean, my director of NYP, he also nominated me for Entrepreneur of the Year in 2021. I didn't know that nomination came from him, but he told me after I won, very fortunately, that he was the one who nominated me for this prize. So I wouldn't receive this prize if not for NYP as well. So that's something that I'm very grateful for as well. Right, so the theme of this talk is a pursuit of excellence, but I don't think I'm in a good position to talk about excellence. I'm still learning. So I would actually like to talk more about resilience. I would argue that I've benefited a lot by pursuing resilience instead of excellence, right? Because if I had just wanted to chase the result, which is what excellence is about, right? Chasing a result, I will not be able to enjoy the journey, right? Like what Hamid said as well. And that's something that I really think about very deeply nowadays. So thank you for giving me the chance to share my journey today, and hope to see you guys after the talk and let's have a great chat. Thanks very much.